Today, we're talking about one of humanity's biggest, oldest ambitions, trying to control water. We've built some truly incredible things to try and tame one of nature's most powerful forces. But what's the real cost of all that control? So let's just start with a crazy question. What if we could literally make it rain right where we need it whenever we wanted? Now, we can't do that, not yet anyway. But we've come up with some pretty wild alternatives. Massive engineering projects that can move, store, and even create fresh water on a scale that's, well, almost like magic.
For a long, long time, our main reaction to a water shortage has been to just think bigger. When a city gets thirsty or a farm starts to dry up, the go-to solution has always been to build our way out of the problem. We just throw more concrete, more steel, and a whole lot of human ingenuity at it.
Now, there's a formal name for these projects, hard engineering solutions. But honestly, I like the nickname techno-fixes way better. It just says it all, right? It's this idea of using technology to patch up a problem in nature. And we're not talking about small adjustments here. These are massive, eye-wateringly expensive, and as you can imagine, often pretty controversial attempts to completely re-engineer the planet's water system.
So what do these techno-fixes actually look like? Well, we're going to dig into the three biggest strategies we've come up with. First, literally rerouting rivers from one place to another. Second, taming those rivers with gigantic dams. And third, something that sounds like science fiction, drinking the ocean. All right, let's kick things off with that first big idea. The logic is simple. If you don't have enough water where you are, just go get it from somewhere else. This takes us into the incredible world of water transfer schemes. The concept itself is just brilliantly simple, isn't it? You find a place that has a ton of water, a huge river, lots of rainfall, and you find another place that doesn't. Then you just build a massive system of pipes, canals, and tunnels to connect the two. It really is like planetary scale plumbing. And look, on one hand, the upsides are huge. These things can completely rebalance the scales, right? They let cities and massive farms pop up in the middle of deserts and take the strain off local rivers that are about to run dry. But, and this is a big but, there's a serious flip side. When you take water from one place, you can wreck its ecosystem. It can start huge political fights over who really owns that water. And the cost to build and maintain these things, it's just astronomical. Okay, let's move on to our second techno-fix, and this one might just be the most famous symbol of human power over the natural world, the megadam. These things are so much more than just giant walls of concrete. They're these incredible multi-purpose machines. They create gigantic lakes or reservoirs that store water for when it's dry. They generate enormous amounts of clean, renewable hydroelectric power. And, of course, they can hold back floods and protect entire communities. So, yeah, the benefits are pretty undeniable. I mean, who's going to argue with a stable water supply and clean energy? But the price you pay can be incredibly steep. To create that giant reservoir, you have to flood enormous valleys, which completely destroys wildlife habitats and forces thousands, sometimes hundreds of thousands, of people from their homes. And the dam itself acts like a trap for all the good, nutrient-rich dirt that's supposed to flow downstream, which basically starves the ecosystems further down the river. So, if moving river water is tricky and damming it up causes huge problems, what's left? Well, how about we tap into the single biggest source of water on the entire planet, the ocean? And that brings us to what feels like actual magic, desalination. For any country that has a coastline, this just seems like the perfect solution, the ultimate cheat code. Why would you ever worry about rain again when you have a practically infinite supply of salt water right at your doorstep? The technology that can pull the salt out and give you fresh water is a total game changer, especially for dry, arid regions. The appeal is just so obvious. A drought-proof, totally reliable source of water. It means a country doesn't have to depend on a river it might share with its neighbors. But here's the catch, and it's a big one. The process uses a shocking amount of energy. And once you've got your fresh water, you're left with this super salty, toxic gunk called brine. And what do we do with it? We usually just pump it right back into the ocean, where it can cause real harm to marine life. And this really gets to the heart of the problem. If you look at the energy you need for desalination versus what you need for a conventional water source, it's not even in the same league. The difference is staggering. So we're powering these plants, often with fossil fuels, to solve our water problem, which then contributes to the climate problem, which, you guessed it, often makes water shortages even worse. It's a really vicious cycle. And that brings us to the most important question of all. After looking at all these incredible, awe-inspiring feats of engineering, we have to stop and ask ourselves, are we even solving the right problem? There's a really key insight here that just puts it perfectly. These techno-fixes, they're fantastic at managing the symptoms of a water shortage, like a river that's run dry, but they do almost nothing to address the underlying causes of why that river ran dry in the first place. So what are those causes? Well, it's not always about a lack of rain. A lot of the time, it's about us. It's about our habits. We just consume way too much water. We use it incredibly inefficiently, especially in farming and industry. And honestly, we're often just really bad at managing the water we already have. It's like we're trying to build a bigger, better bucket instead of just fixing the leaks in the one we're already holding. So I'll just leave you with this final thought. There's no doubt that these water transfer schemes, these mega dams, these desalination plants, they are true marvels of human ingenuity. But are they really a bridge to a sustainable, water-secure future? Or are they just a temporary dam, holding back a much, much bigger, more complicated problem about how we think about, value, and use water in the first place?